Hello viewers, you're watching the Cross Motor channel. Sometimes in the history of motorcycle manufacturing, there are amazing facts of symbiosis between one company and another, resulting in interesting examples of technology. Today I'm going to tell you about one of these examples. Do you know the company Vindian from the United States of America? I think you do. They're the arch rival of Harley-Davidson. There was also a British company called Vincent, which is less well known than Vindian. At one time, a motorcycle combined an Vindian chassis with a powerful Vincent engine. This motorcycle could have drastically changed United States motorcycle manufacturing history, but it didn't. And let's get to know the so-called Vindian a little better. Enjoy watching. To understand how this symbiosis of American and British motorcycle engineering came about, it's necessary to understand the context of what was happening. Let's go back to the time of the Great Depression. In the United States, out of more than 20 motorcycle brands, only 2 survived this event, Harley-Davidson and Vindian. And Vindian was actually doing somewhat better than its competitor. In 1939, Vindian Motorcycle Company produced 8,883 motorcycles, while Harley made 500 less. During World War II, the company produced 42,000 military scouts. After the war, Vindian faced a crisis. Government orders ended, equipment was worn out, and owner Paul DuPont lost interest after falling ill. In October 1945, he sold the company to a 35-year-old investor, Ralph Rogers. Ralph had plenty of new ideas, but no experience in motorcycle manufacturing. Ralph decided to produce lightweight motorcycles in the British style. These were the 213cc Aero model and the 426cc Super Scout, which appeared on the market a year after the company changed ownership. The motorcycle was developed in a hurry, and it had plenty of teething problems. Moreover, Rogers discontinued the company's most popular model, the good old Scout. Ralph clearly made a mistake. Veterans returned from the front with money in their pockets and a lack of adrenaline in peaceful life. A motorcycle was the solution, but obviously not a small displacement one. And then Rogers had another brilliant idea. So as not to leave Vindian dealers completely without motorcycles, in 1947, he rushed to the United Kingdom to arrange for the supply of British motorcycles to be sold through his network. And to find additional funding, strangely enough, he managed to do both. The investors turned out to be the British from the Brockhouse Company, but Vindian dealers were dreaming of an American machine that could compete. They bet on Davidson knucklehead. Unfortunately, Vindian didn't have the resources or the time to design such a power unit. Let's move to Britain. In the 1930s, many British companies made motorcycles with V-twin engines, with Vincent among the best. In 1936, engineer Phil Irving created a powerful 1,000cc overhead valve, V-twin for them. During the 1940s and early 1950s, Vincent with this engine was the fastest production motorcycle in the world. However, after the war, the Vincent company also faced financial difficulties. The technology was attractive, but post-war British society needed much cheaper, simpler, small displacement motorcycles. I have multiple videos on Vincent's history on my channel. Here's a pop-up about Vincent. In September 1948, Raleigh Free broke the absolute speed record for naturally aspirated motorcycles on his almost stock Vincent Black Shadow. He accelerated to 241.85 kilometers per hour. Moreover, to reduce aerodynamic drag, he lay on the motorcycle with his legs stretched back and wore only swim trunks. This record made Vincent famous in the United States, and to strengthen their success, the head of the company, Philip Vincent, went overseas in April of '49 to visit the few local dealers. Ralph Rogers heard about this and invited Philip to discuss cooperation. As a result, they agreed to sell Vincent's machines through the Vindian dealer network and to build 2 motorcycle prototypes. The first of them was a Vincent Rapide model with American electrical equipment, and the gear shift moved from the right to the left. The second Vindian was an Indian chief with a Vincent Rapide engine. In April 1949, a pale blue Indian reached the Vincent factory. According to Irving himself, the heavy 263-kilogram Indian could barely reach 140 kilometers per hour. After some minor modifications, a 45-horsepower Vincent V-twin was fitted into the frame. Despite the minimal change in weight, the top speed increased to 170 kilometers per hour. Acceleration improved with foot-operated gear shifting, and fuel consumption decreased from 10 to about 6 liters per 100 kilometers. Vindian successfully covered 2,900 kilometers on the roads, and then it was brought to the airfield runway, where the company's test rider, George Braun, covered a quarter mile in 8.2 seconds and accelerated to a speed of 170 kilometers per hour. Indian Vincent was also built and successfully tested. Both prototypes were demonstrated to representatives of the Chamber of Commerce. Encouraged by this news, Philippe Vincent doubled the order for components, but after that, everything went wrong. The financial inspectors from Brockhaus who arrived examined the production and the stock for 400 units of equipment and decided that investing money was too risky. This event undermined Vincent's position. For the next 6 years, they struggled with bankruptcy, but unfortunately, they ceased to exist in 1955. Meanwhile, on September 19, 1949, the British government devalued the pound sterling by 30%, lowering its rate from 4.05 to 2.80. And this meant that now, in the United States, British motorcycles cost less than their local copies. This was the final nail in the coffin. Indian's Ralph Rogers resigned and went into cement production in Texas, where he made a huge fortune, while Brockhaus became the owner of Indian, which is what the British were aiming for, but it didn't last long. The last real Indian motorcycles were assembled in 1953. You know, there's a good saying, history doesn't know the subjunctive mood. However, imagine if Indian and Vincent had succeeded. Such an event could have significantly influenced American motorcycle manufacturing. If this motorcycle had been produced at a reasonable price with the Indian name, it would have easily outperformed competitors. Harley-Davidson ultimately matched that power and performance. In 1984, the Vincent engine introduced the Evolution family and 45 horsepower. The Rapid engine could easily be boosted to 55 horsepower just like the Vincent Black Shadow. The Vindian deserved a better fate, but that didn't happen. The original motorcycle has not survived to this day after the breakup between Vincent and Indian. A chief engine was installed in the hybrid's frame, and the motorcycle returned to America. However, later on, several enthusiasts created replicas of this motorcycle. This is the story of an interesting symbiosis between American and British motorcycle builders, which has a sad ending. My story ends here. This was Cross Moto Channel with you. I want to thank Moto Magazine for the article that served as the basis for this story, as well as a viewer of my channel who suggested the idea. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to stay active on the channel and check out the pinned links in the description. See you next time. Subtitles.